All right. And then the Strong's definition?
Mm, Strong's definition is fearing, morally reverent, afraid, fear, in parentheses, dash, full.
Oh, fearful. That's just saying fearful.
Why did they just make it fearful?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh Lord.
Let's say Strong's definition is Yahweh from H3372. And then when you go to that H3372, it brings you to Yahweh, and then to fear, reference, revere, be afraid, to fear, be afraid, to stand in awe. Mm-hmm. That's the one I was looking for. Stand in awe.
Well, that's what revere is really.
Yeah. It's like awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So come see his. Yeah. That's
to
awesome.
Be awed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honor, to fear, reverence, honor, respect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if you go down even further, it says to inspire reverence or godly fear or awe.
Because everybody's saying, putting that, you better fear the Lord, because, it's like putting a bond of yoke or heaviness on you, you got to tremble, and it's just to look at how amazing, to give reverence to him, how wonderful and great he is to us,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the angel of the Lord encamps round and about them that fear him, them that give him reverence and see him in awe. And what he says, and he delivers them.
What is going on, gents? And Gentiles.
Stop.
What is going on? Let's see. Trent, what's up, bro? Long time no see, man. Where you been hiding?
God bless you, brother. It's been a while. My bad. I've just been busy a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, man. Who's John? Does anybody know John? Anybody?
Nope.
No. John, what's up, man? What's on your mind, dude? Or do that? Whatever.
Hey, man. How you doing? Just here to interact, listen, talk about Jesus.
Yeah, you a Christian?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do we leave off? Let's see. Verse 4. No? I think so. Or nobody knows. Man, what is that?
Chapter 9, verse 4.
Yeah, I knew that's where we're at. I wrote it down, but I usually put like a little asterisk, and I didn't. So
beneficial to me as a Christian to be able to utilize Strong's.
To get closer to God, or what would be the purpose that you would want to use it?
Understand the scripture.
Yeah, if you want to understand, I'm not saying
I know a lot.
I'm not saying you do or you don't, but there's always other people listening, and so I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, totally. I understand. Yeah, as far as me, I've never been to Strong, so I did open it up one time just to kind of look into it, but I didn't really give it too much because I couldn't really understand what it was where it was trying to take me, and I didn't know how to navigate the system.
Yeah, the system, to be
Got
honest.
any pointers?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. What does this symbol mean or whatever? It is going to be in the preface of the concordance itself. So, if you think maybe like when I first started using it, I think all of us at times can get lazy, right? And it's kind of like you just want to just already know how to use it. But then there's like little symbols like throughout, and you're like, well, what does this mean? If you go to the front, it'll tell you what it means. So the pointer that I will tell you is just to make it simple, just start using it. Just start using it. And you're going to mess up, you're going to fail and say, oh, well, I thought it meant this because last time that little asterisk or whatever this was pointing to this over here. Well, this one doesn't have it. It's kind of like a learn by failure, but they're minute failures. Like I've never, ever seen anyone, or I've never felt like if I mess something up, I'm going to go start a cult. You understand?
Yes, kind of. I understand. Jump right in.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to all the extremes, by the way, John, because you're not the first person that asks or have asked or will ask this question. And people are kind of, and I'm speaking for majority, like a lot of people get afraid like to hop in there because they feel like if they misunderstand something, they're going to start a cult. If you have a contrite heart, you're not going to start a cult. You may misunderstand something, but I promise you, God's not going to fall off his throne because you misunderstood something. Even if you tell somebody like, oh yeah, that means this, it's not going to be long, kind of help you understand a little bit more of what that Hebrew word actually, like the definition of it. And there's some words they don't perfectly translate into English. It just doesn't. But I believe that when the people were translating the Bible in English, I believe they did a great job. I mean, I really do. I don't believe they like messed it up. I don't believe that. I just believe that they translated it into English, and you know they did the best that they could. But translating a Bible from Hebrew or Greek into English, that doesn't mean that you put sermons in between each verse, or you have to add commentaries. They're just putting the words that's over here, and they're just putting it in English, you know. So again, John, that's not directed to you. I'm just speaking to everybody that's in the room based on the question you asked. So, but yeah, to make it real simple, John, this is directly to you. Yes, just hop in. And if you stick around today, you'll see us doing it. You'll just see us constantly going in there and looking up. And a lot of times it don't matter. There'll be a word that says, so-and-so ran. You go look up the word ran. It means ran. That's it. That's all it meant. Ran. But there's other times John are talking. I mean, Jesus and Peter are having a conversation by the sea after they were fishing. And he said, do you love me? And he asked Peter this 3 times, but in the Greek, it's different words being used. But in English, it's the same word. But we kind of use the word love like for everything a little bit more than the Greeks did. The same word, love. So that's just an example of why someone would even care to look up Frozen. Jennifer, it's Frozen on YouTube. Somebody else talk to me. Is it Frozen to y'all, or is it just Jennifer?
It was,
Try-
but now it's just dipping really bad.
Anybody else?
Like almost every other word.
Reset the live.
Go.
Oh,
Delightful.
it keeps buffering. Oh, it's too bad. That's all right. Either we'll get it fixed. Maybe not today, but another day. Whatever.
Oh, a couple of just short questions. I know that you're right in the middle of probably a study, but the Strong Concordance, going back to that. So you guys just use, and I should use Strong Concordance anytime that I have problems understanding the scripture, or would you say that it's a good side by side comparison when you're really trying to digest it?
I don't know. It kind of sounds like you're asking a couple of things. So let's do one at a time. Which question do you have first, John?
No, I was just asking, like, when do you use it?
No, I'm
Okay,
asking
so
you.
understand that.
I'm asking you if you understand the example I gave.
Yes, I love tacos. I love pizza. I love my wife. I understand.
Right. Okay.
There's
So
different.
with that right there, help me understand how that's not answering your question. Like, help me out, because
I Yeah, it's fine. I just had questions like what the usage is for you yourself, because when I read scripture and I read the word love, it just kind of makes sense. Um, so when should, like,
what do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean
when
it
you
make?
study
Hold
the
on.
Bible?
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean it makes sense? Are you saying you don't need help? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, I just
Oh, well,
study
if
it as
if
much as I can
well,
and
if you
read
feel
the
like you
Bible.
don't, okay. So my question would be, if you feel like you don't need help, well, why do you have a concordance then? Or do you even own one yet, or what?
No,
You
I
don't?
haven't purchased one yet.
Okay, so I guess you're. Do you understand Hebrew? Or
No.
are you saying all you need is the English? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's all I've been using my life.
Yeah. So, like you said, I love my wife. I love tacos. So, when Jesus is asking Peter, "Do you love me?" One of the times that he uses the word that, okay, we see the word love, okay, but there are people. Not everybody sees the word love the same way. Even people who speak English. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if someone is reading that "I love you," and let's say that they're part of the LGBT community, they could take it as Jesus and Peter had those kind of relations, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So other people would disagree and say that's not the kind of love Peter was using. So what ends up happening is people will argue, well, how do you know what kind of love? Well, in the Greek, he's not saying agape right there. The word agape in the Greek is talking about a very deep, intimate love. It's not like I like you. But one of the words that Jesus uses when he asks Peter, do you love me? He's actually asking Peter in the Greek language, like, are we friends? Like, do you like me? So he's not using the word love. He's saying, hey, so do you like me? Are we good? Do you understand why it could benefit or help someone to study it in its original language so you can understand what that word is really pointing to?
Yes, I understand now. Thank
Yeah.
you for the explanation.
Yeah. No, you're good, man. I just, you got to understand, I get asked these questions all the time. And when people ask the same questions you're asking, it's always for a different reason, but yet they're asking the question in the same way. So I'm trying to figure out which way you're asking the question. So forgive my brusque behavior.
No, it's fine. I understand.
All right, cool. And we're about to do that. Like, you're about to see us doing it. Like, we're about to finish going over, let's see, 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 4. And we're looking up some words there just to see, like, what's going on with specific words. And another thing that's very beneficial to use the concordance is it, like, for instance, David in the Bible, the name David, it's a Hebrew name. David, that's the guy's name in Hebrew. But if you were to say a very important meaning throughout Scripture, the names do, all of them. Some of the people's servants, right? Their name will have like a godly notation or like a godly name. And there's other people's servants have names of something completely opposite of God, you know? So it kind of helps you paint the picture of like a little bit more of how these people are, you know, naming people around them, who they hang out with. It's a very in-depth, like it's even more detailed. The story becomes more detailed when you notice certain names, like why certain people have certain names. Like, for instance, Gideon, he's got a servant named Purah, something like that. But his Purah, when you say that in English, it means foliage, like greenery or life. And he happened to interpret dreams. And the Bible tells us, right, when we read the story of Joseph tells the two men he's in prison with, the two guys had dreams. They couldn't find anyone to interpret them. And Joseph says, doesn't interpretations of dreams belong to God? And then he says, tell me your dream. It's a pretty bold statement for him to have said that, but he did say it. But the Bible shows us that it is God. It's only him and his wisdom that can interpret a dream. And so in the story of Gideon, his servant just happens to represent life or greenery, things, trees or grass, foliage. He just so happens to mean that, like in English anyway. And he's the one that interpreted a dream that he heard two men saying. And when he said the dream, it gave Gideon all the faith that he needed, that he was going to win this battle. So without reading or understanding that language, like the definition of what that word would be in English, it would just be a man named Gideon that had a servant named Purah or whatever his name is. But now we can put it in English. It starts giving a little bit more of its details to the reader. So obviously, I know you've heard of the Garden of Eden or Eden itself. Well, again, I don't speak Hebrew. So the word Eden, when translated in English, it means pleasant. So if we're going to say it in English, that means that it's called the Garden of Pleasant. And now it makes a little bit more sense. Wouldn't you agree, John?
Yes, sir. I do.
Right? Like it's a pleasant place. Like calling it the Garden of Eden, I mean, I guess all of us could say, well, it's got to be pleasant. Well, yeah, but it does kind of help when the word actually shows that it means pleasant, that's what Eden means. So there's a lot of benefit to it.
Or the pleasant garden, right?
Yeah, the pleasant garden.
The pleasant garden. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so there's a lot of those kind of benefits. But again, either deeper or more intimate, I guess. It just becomes more alive whenever we look up words that's not translated for us. Like all the names, they're not translated for us. The Hebrew name is put in there, like Eden or David, Goliath, right? And I'll say this
You're looking for the message within the message. It's the way that the Bible was written. And a lot of people miss that message because they don't speak Hebrew. So when you go to the Hebrew word, you'll see like it's really the Bible is even like mathematical in a way. Like it's very there's so many different intricate things within the Bible, and that's why it takes a lifetime to study. If you just read it through like an atheist, you're just gonna get like a real Harry Potter movie. Like it's real. Oh, this is cool, but there is a message within the message, and it takes your heart and the spirit and a little deeper understanding as to how God writes these things and why He chose the Hebrew language to really put it all together in a deeper way.
Yeah, and I'll say this last one, and we'll move on to Mephibosheth because that's where we're at. So, like, we all know the story, David and Goliath, but without the English names being there, just a little piece of the story is kept from us. So we know that David defeated Goliath, but in English it's love or beloved defeated exile. And a huge thing that's happening there is there's always this prophecy of the Messiah coming. And the Bible tells us that God is love. And the Messiah is supposed to be the Son of God, which, if it's the Son of God, that Son's going to be love, just like Daddy. So it's not a coincidence that David was called by God a man after his own heart. And his name just happens to be Love or Beloved, David. So the Bible makes it clear that mankind were cast out of Eden. They were exiled out of Eden. And the entirety of the Bible tells us, that that God was going to redeem man. Like it tells us this everywhere. But when Jesus comes into play, and then he says that there is no greater love than this, when someone gives them their life for another, right, is what he's saying. And that's exactly what happened. So love conquered exile. David conquered Goliath. So when you see this picture of a man called David, this big man, the other man, Goliath, exile, and he instead of trying to enter, you know, the whole army's out there. They're not trying to enter. They're yelling out for the champion to come out of this place, which this is where Israel is at. So this is considered the promised land. So all the people are at the promised land, and Goliath is calling out the champion to come fight. And the Bible tells us in a lot of ways that there is a champion. It's a captain for God's army, and that is the Messiah. So you see David coming out of Israel, just like you see Jesus coming out of his special place, we'll just call it that. But he comes out into this world. That would be Israel coming out to the exiled, right? God did not exile him. You go study that story, and you can tell that Goliath is being an adversary to God's people. And that is, in the Bible, that is Satan, the adversary. You do. Some people can beat themselves up over a mistake. They can. Not just 1, 2, 10 mistakes. And sometimes people do know about those mistakes, and then you make amends if you can. But mankind fell because of Adam. That's what the Bible tells us. And God redeemed us by defeating the part of us that was exiled. All sin was put on the cross, on his flesh, and sin was paid for in a man's body. Slow down, right? Then you can see a little bit more clearer what God, or I'll say Jesus, even though Jesus is God, but Jesus authored. Reading the scriptures, you seek life, but they contest of me. And he constantly was telling them, you don't see me in scripture. That's the issue. And these were the religious people of the day. They should have been able to. And he was telling them, no, you can't, because your father is Satan. So he's saying your mouth, y'all look real good physically, and y'all all sound real good, but your heart is far from me. To the point that they had all the people fooled. And in this world that we live in, anybody can fool a person, but a person with wisdom and discernment, and I'm not talking about someone that got saved yesterday, but someone that is considered a wise man in God's eyes, they don't get fooled by lip service or by how someone is dressing, a lot of talking, they don't get fooled by that. They're trying to pay attention to the person's heart. They're not paying attention to anything else. And that's why the Bible says that God only looks at the heart of a man. So if he only looks at the heart of a man, and Jesus told the scribes and the Pharisee that your father is Satan, he wasn't lying. So there's people today, I don't know any personally, but I know they exist. There's people today, they dress very nice, and everything that comes out of their mouth is good stuff. God, God, good, good. And, that in God's eyes, that means nothing. It's the heart. So again, we may get fooled and say, wow, that person's godly for whatever reason. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be people who are saved and they do talk a lot of God stuff. They do dress nice and their heart actually is in the right place. So, dressing very well and speaking about God a lot, that's not a, it's not a negative thing. It's just that there are people that cannot discern the person's heart. And that's the problem, is you can't discern the person's heart, and we should be able to. I'm not talking about if someone says, let me borrow your lawnmower, and then they steal it. Well, you should have discerned. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whether they're in relation with God or not. A person who is in relation with God, they can tell when someone else is. And it's not based on if they did something bad or any of that. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the outer appearance. It's the inner of a man. So I'm just saying all that because talking about the concordance, talking about what is the benefit. So I went over just a few of them, and David Goliath just happened to be the last one. But all right, anybody got anything to say before we continue with Mephibosheth?
Alex had the thing, or bring it up before we start.
What?
About the Alex, you there?
Yes, sir. So I was it was basically a conversation about guardian angels, right? Now I understand I brought up a verse in Acts 12 where Peter was knocking at the door and someone was like, oh, Peter's there. And everyone was like, no, it can't be. It's his angel. So, but I looked at the concordance of that word, right? And it does mean messenger, one that is sent by God. So it could be you talking in the context, someone that was sent by Peter.
In context, hold on. In context, what?
The disciples were talking, saying, "Oh, it's someone that was sent by Peter." That's why they said it's his angel.
Right. Right. Okay. So, what's your question?
Right. So, but then, verse where Jesus is talking about a child that the disciples said, "No, don't bring him near us," but Jesus said, "No, bring him here," because sorry, I don't have the verse in front of me, but he basically says the kingdom of heaven belongs to these little ones, and the angels in heaven, they're always facing the Father to get the command, right? So you can look at that verse in context. Is he talking about us as born again believers, children? But in like physically what happened in the story, there was a little boy there. And we know children, they don't have the capacity to be born again. They don't have the soul capacity to choose, right? So it's either one or the other, which I'm not sure which it is, because it happened physically, and we know Jesus' words are spiritual.
So we need to go read it real quick before we start, or what? Pull it up. Yeah, pull it up.
So why I brought that verse up was, if it was talking about, obviously, the physical child. Sorry, notification. If it was talking about the physical child, then wouldn't that in turn mean that angels are waiting?
Let's just go to verse. Let's go to the verse.
Yeah, sorry, I was on there.
You're good. Where are we going?
I'm pretty sure it's in Matthew. I just don't remember what chapter.
Somebody help him out.
Well, Britt is the one that brought it up on, I believe it was Saba's live.
When?
This morning.
Okay.
This morning. So
It's
if
in
she's in the chat listening, maybe she can put it in the chat.
It's in chapter 18, verse 10. I have it here.
All right, Matthew 18. Okay, verse 10. Let's see. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're going to start at 18:1, by the way. Just give me a second. I'll be right back.
If Saba wants up, I can go down.
No, you stay because I'm getting ready to go into my therapy. So I gotta align my back again.
Man, I used to love them appointments. You feel so amazing after those appointments.
Tell me about it, sister. I mean, forget it. I'm good like
You what you need to do is align your doctrine.
Shots fired! Fire in the hole!
Great.
Let me hey, somebody give me feedback on YouTube. I just want to hear.
Is Trot okay? He's over there losing his mind.
Well, yeah, he's got a few barks, and I know him very well. And every time he does this one, I'm still, because it's never the same thing. But I know all of his barks. But this one right here, it's always something different, and it was the horses. He hates when the horses come over here, and he hates it. Yeah, Brenda, how bad is it? Why does everybody want to lose 85 pounds? Yeah, if I lost 85 pounds, I look like a toothpick.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to 290 now, man. I was at 350 at my highest.
Oh, okay. I said, okay, well, yeah, that's different. You need to lose 85 pounds then. Yeah.
I had the surgery and everything, for my neck. I was in bed for almost 6 weeks. It was bad. Then they wanted to do another surgery, but I said, no, I'll do therapy and everything else. You ain't touching my back, my lower back.
Yeah.
I let them go through my neck. But that's because I needed that.
Yeah. Man, I hate to say it, but it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like this is going to work out. I really hate to say that, but. And what's crazy is I run the numbers, and almost every time they look great. I don't get it. Oh, matter of fact, you know what? Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to go get a facility or whatever.
Do you know what it is?
No, I mean, I'll go look. Why? What's that?
If your NAT is 1, that means it is a weak connection due to signals. If it's NAT2 or NAT2, then it's not your problem. It's your service provider's problem. Because sometimes router boxes have either NAT1 or NAT2. If it's 1, that's your problem. You have a problem with your internet. If it's NAT2, it's not your problem. You're either
Yeah,
have to
well,
replace the old internet
so I'm using, So I'm using Starlink, which is Elon Musk's internet. So, I mean, I'll go look to see because I'll be right back. Let me check it out.
Sure.
You know what this Trent? He's still using dial-up.
Oh. Because I'm used to, for example, internet boxes. Usually, as well, they also have their IPs in the back, and they have their like serial number, and usually always have NAT with brackets, either one or two. Some have it and some don't. Like for example, my router box in my house currently has, for example, NAT2. So, and even when you open, for example, settings on your laptop, if you have a Mac, not an Android, sister said fiber optic or just regular natural wireless connection.
Yeah, there's no fiber optic where he's at.
Oh God.
But I'm also trying to think as well, because he's saying his numbers are good. Are his devices using up too much bandwidth?
I'm just gonna
Like
send.
struggling.
Pardon?
His devices could be fighting each other for the bandwidth. So he might have to get himself a better, not a receiver, but extender or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see anything like that on the back of it.
You don't see no now? All right, then. I'm just after this live ends, I'll send you a link. It's a website on Google. You can search it up and connect to your house's internet, and it will show you all the information and accurate details there. And I could help you by the step-by-step tutorial to see if it's your problem or your provider's
Well,
problem.
but what I'm saying is I could find out though, because all I have to do, I'm gonna go look. You could probably do it too. Just
What I'm talking about?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's called NAT, like the NAT, your NAT connection.
NAT connection. All right.
Like, for example, even on my router, when I open up my Mac, I don't know if you have a Mac or an Android laptop. On a Mac, it could tell, for example, what is your NAT type. And sometimes if it's 1, that's a problem. If it's 2, then you're cool.
All right, let's see. Starlink router uses carrier grade network address CGNAT. Let's see. So you're telling me I'm looking for a number, a 1 or 2?
Well, yeah, pretty much 1 or 2. Like, I can show you right now because I have a Mac. I'll open my camera in a bit once I get it out. And you can see how it looks like. It's usually the word NAT in capitals and then right next to it a bracket that has either a 1 or 2.
All right, so I'll tell you what it says. It says the Starlink router is a carrier grade network address translation CGNAT router, meaning it's not a NAT1 or NAT2. It causes carrier grade NAT. It uses carrier grade NAT, which translates between private and public IP addresses. This type of NAT is commonly used by Starlink and other networks like mobile networks to converse IP addresses and share a public IP address amongst multiple users. Let's see. While it's not a NAT1 or NAT2, it's important to understand how it impacts networking and potentially affects certain applications or services. So it's not a NAT1 or a NAT2. It's a CGNAT, but they call it a carrier grade network address translation. So that's the CG, carrier grade NAT.
Okay.
But I mean, again, that could be the issue though, because one thing I've learned though with Elon's internet, if you want Wi-Fi, like if you just want to watch movies or like, play on TikTok or, just stuff like that, his internet's perfect. His numbers are amazing. I used it when I hooked that thing up. I used it all night, had no problem, but it has a problem streaming. That's the thing I'm noticing. It has a problem streaming. So
All right, I got it, by the way. So it just says here, you're good, by the way. There's no problem with your stuff because I just searched it up here. I had a website.
Yeah.
And it says here type 3 NAT. Your internet is a strict network setting and is also very limited. It's very limited. So it's not like unlimited online connectivity. It's very limited, your internet. And when it comes to 3, it's uncommon because not 1, 2 is common, very moderate. That's why.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was worth the shot. So, if someone is like confused, JH, I'm sure he's here. He had, he donated it so we could use it, for this. And it doesn't look like, man, it doesn't. And I'm telling you, that sucker is like 15 feet off the ground. There's no obstructions except for a few trees, but that would not cause it to lag the way it's doing it. You really out there in the boondocks? Yeah, buddy. I really am. Let's see.
Trump, brother, you said that your numbers are good, though.
Yeah, the numbers are good, bro. Sometimes it's 95. Earlier this morning, it was almost 200. It was like 180 something. And the lowest, I want to say the lowest consistently that I've seen is like an 8. So I don't know. I mean, it could be something that I'm doing. I just don't know what that would be. But, well, how I know it's not something that I'm doing, and I keep saying this, is because for the longest, I was going live on my iPad for YouTube. Never had a problem. So I don't understand how I was able to go live with my iPad and have no issues. And then I get this system over here, and that system has to require, Dre, hey, have we even looked, like, does it require?
It's got to do with either the Wi-Fi itself is being interferenced, right? It's being interference.
I'm gonna end. Let me hold on a second. I'm just gonna turn off.